Thank you, Beth. I have a confession to make about Beth. Back when she took on the role of board chair, I thought to myself, oh boy, how is Beth going to do this with all she has going for her? But yet she did, and she did so brilliantly. So thank you, Beth, for your being here. You sustain us too. Your presence does. So let's move forward. I still see we still have quite a few hours left. It's only 10 after 6. So let me see if I can actually find my sermon. Okay. Okay. In the winter of 1966, when I was 15 years old, we had several severe blizzards in North Dakota. It almost never thaws during the winter months there, so there was a lot of snow on the fields and in the shelter belts by winter's end. That spring, we had several days of thawing temperatures. Much of the snow turned quickly to water, and because the ground was frozen, did not seep into the soil. Instead, it rushed toward the Red River of the North and Swan Creek, the river running through Castleton, a town of then about 1,200 souls, which was where I went to high school, class of 1968, the largest class ever to graduate, 69 graduates. Castleton was in danger of flooding, so the plan was hatched to build levees of sandbags along the most vulnerable parts of Swan Creek. Great mountains of sand were brought in along with many pallets of white sandbags. The school was closed. A friend in town called me and asked if I could come into town and help fill sandbags. In our discussion, he said the biggest problem was getting the sandbags from the sand mountain to the levees. I got the idea that if I took our chore tractor, a B John Deere with a sturdy trailer, into town, I could help haul bags of sand. Beth, please show the tractor slide that I brought. I want you to see the tractor. Forgot the tractor slide? Well, you'll have to imagine a 1945 John Deere tractor, which is what I drove into town that day. So I, with my dad's blessing, drove the tractor and trailer into town at its top speed, which was 9 miles per hour. When I got there, I and my tractor were immediately pressed into service. All day into the night and past midnight, we worked in a cold drizzle, filling and transporting sandbags. The ladies from the Lutheran, Methodist, Presbyterian, and Catholic churches brought us sandwiches, hot soup in cups, and some seriously good chocolate chip cookies. By way of footnote, the ladies coming together from the churches is one of the few times in that era Castleton's Catholics and Protestants really worked together in any kind of joint endeavor. Religious belief was a serious matter for most Castletonians, and relations between the two great movements of Christianity at the Castleton level were sometimes a bit restrained. My grandmother warned me several times when I was starting to date to stay away from Catholic girls. She informed me that kissing a Catholic girl was the first step on the road to hell. And while I was at it, I should probably stay away from the Lutheran and Presbyterian girls as well. I'll get back to the story. Along about 2 o'clock in the morning, or about 1 o'clock in the morning, we got the news that the waters had crested, and that except for a couple houses in the town welding shop, everything was saved. I still, however, had to get the tractor and trailer back home, so I set off on the dirt and gravel back roads leading to the farm. I was beyond exhausted, but the drizzle had stopped and the clouds parted to reveal a bright moon and a luminous night sky. This was good because the tractor, which was manufactured in 1945, had no electrical system beyond a weak generator and a magneto. The lights on the tractor were virtually useless, so I just shut them off and relied on the moon and night sky for light. Traffic on the back roads in North Dakota at 2 a.m., or really any time, is non-existent, and light pollution in 1966 was so minimal that the sky with moon and stars was quite sufficient for the 15-mile journey. With about 2 miles to go to reach home, I was suddenly filled with the beauty of the land and the magnificence of the sky. I had one of those small mystical experiences most of us have from time to time. I like to call them joy bomblets exploding around me. I had been so tired, yet in an instant it was as if the energies of the fields, the moon, and even the throb of the tractor's engine filled me up and flowed through me. I had the peculiar feeling that I am all this, that I was the moonlight, the earth, and the patches of snow still on the ground. That somehow the universe as it really is not comprised of objects, but is one seamless whole. In the ensuing years, as I became an adult, I have had other such small awakenings, and have, I hope, become a bit more articulate. I've come to think of these moments as moments of remembrance, remembering the deep, innate body knowledge that life is not what we live, that life is what we are. Let me repeat that. Life is not what we live, life is what we are. That we think we are mere experiencers of life is a fallacious side effect of language, which is dual in nature. I have come to think of these remembering experiences as the body, our species knowledge breaking through cultural knowledge to remind us of who we are. It seems likely that these moments are the foundation of much religion. By way of footnote, I believe that these kinds of mystical experiences happen to everyone, but are eclipsed in most of us because of the clutter, busyness, and enticements of modern life. Last week, I talked a bit about the value of the old religions, specifically Christianity. I used in my sermon the parable of the talents as told by Jesus to talk about the importance of launching oneself into life and using oneself up in the service of life as a pathway to authentic being. I began that sermon by suggesting that we set aside the mythological dimension of Christianity and focus on its teachings. I did not want, however, to give the impression that the myths of the traditional religions are not important. The myths of the old religions have a very important function. Mythos is the translation of innate species knowledge into language and culture. That is why in the kid message today I asked, how do you grow your hair? I could have asked something like, how does a monarch butterfly know when to fly north from Mexico in the spring? Our children and grandchildren know to fly south from Canada in late summer. Or how does anyone know how to think a thought? This kind of knowing is the innate knowing of the organism. The reenactment of religious myth is a reminder of that knowing. It is a remembering that you are the earth, the sunshine, the wind, and the rain. You are life and you are death. You are all the stories ever told. You are Shiva dancing on a bed of skulls. You are Buddha sitting beneath the bow tree. You are Jesus hanging from the cross. You are Michael Servetus burning at the stake. You are the still beating heart of a sacrificial victim held aloft by the Aztec priest as a gift to the sun. You are the great Gitche Manitou. You are the devil in his stinking lair. You are time and you are timeless. You are a split second and you are eternity. You are Io revolving around Jupiter. You are the Crab Nebulae beaming its light to Earth from 6,500 light years away. You are this. You are life. Religious myth and story remind us of who we are. Some years ago, I found myself alone in Seville's great cathedral, Santa Maria de la Seda. There was a mass in progress. I listened to the service, which was, of course, in Spanish, so I did not understand a word of it. The cathedral had been an important site for Romans 200 years before the Common Era. Then in the 2nd century of the Common Era for medieval Christians. Then in the 8th century, Common Era for the Moors, and then again before became Christian in the late 16th century, when a Gothic cathedral was built over ancient Moorish arches, which were themselves resting on great Roman columns. On impulse, I joined the line to receive the element, the body of Christ. When I knelt at the altar, and I'm not going to become a Catholic, just want to give you warning. When I knelt at the altar and the priest laid the wafer on my tongue, I was reminded of all those who had knelt in piety in this place, emperors and kings alike, and of all the blood shed as the site was claimed and reclaimed by 3 great religions. It was a sublime moment for me. I felt the bliss of that holy moment when for just an instant, I remembered that the suffering I had endured, losing a child, losing faith, losing hope, the pain involved in unearthing the social and family dysfunctions that were strewn in my psyche like landmines, all the sacrifices I had made to raise a family, all those years of volunteering in soup kitchens and working for organized labor were the things that had made me. I am my suffering. I am my sacrifice. I am the world in travail. I remember that I am life. I remember that I am life, and life requires sacrifice and suffering. And someday life will require my death. The everyday sacrifices we make for our kids, for marriage, for working 15 years of overtime so our kids and grandkids can go to college, by attending 20 years of schooling so one can become a teacher, a nurse, or an engineer, if we are attentive, are vehicles for remembering, for joy, meaning, and passion. Sacrifice is a part of all religions and all successful lives. Rightly so. Sacrifice is the reminder that we are life and that life consumes itself. That life is best lived when we come to life a living sacrifice. We discover again and again that in our sacrifice is the bliss of being truly alive to what we truly are, life itself. In a second, Beth will play our final video. I once in the late 80s showed this video to a United Methodist Bible study group. There was an audible gasp when we viewed the final scene. I'm looking forward to see how you react and how many of you have seen this video. Beth, please proceed. I love that particular section of video. So here's what I hope you got from this sermon and the video. Whether we are the Dane people, which we saw in the video, of New Guinea feasting on the flesh of sacrificed children, Catholics celebrating the Mass by feasting on the flesh of Christ, our Unitarian Universalists consuming the substance of their own lives by working a soup kitchen, singing in the choir, sitting on social justice committee, doing the weekly cleaning of the fellowship toilets like Beth Lefevre, are watering the plants every service, after every service, every damn Sunday for 25 years, like Dorothy Long has done. We are remembering who we are. We are life, and life requires life. Life requires sacrifice, and sacrifice is a pathway to joy. So let's have a moment of silent meditation.